All right, we are live. Happy Wednesday, September 25th. No, it's 6th. Today's the 26th. I said the 25th earlier, I'm sorry. It's the TED Show, episode 248 with the beautiful and talented Tracy Rickard. So give us a thumbs up, let us know. I can see you guys on, Jed's on. Let us know you can hear us or see us. We're going to talk about stress relief today, stress reset today, hormones, yoga, massage, balance. I love the balance part of it. So Susie gave us a thumbs up. Thank you, Susie. Lots of love for you guys. I had the most amazing, so this is Tracy Rickard. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right, lots of love already coming in. And so we had the best pre-show conversation. I'm so relaxed that I got to get out of my relaxed mode for a minute because you can't smell her. I wish there was smell-o-vision, but she smells like a spa. She's got these essential oils on, and I'm literally in my massage room in a dark room somewhere right now. So I have to not do that because I think her message is so important. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited for you to be here. All right, so we have a lot to talk about. Stress is on everybody's mind. We all seem like the whole world is stressed out. We're trying to find balance, and then you throw hormones in there and lack of sleep, and then you've got this crazy mixture for disaster, this recipe for disaster. And so you have some great reset tools, and we're going to talk about all of that, including yoga. So I just got a little lesson on yoga, but I'm fascinated, and I think you guys will be too. So give us a little background on you. You obviously weren't born, and then you became a health coach, yoga person, yoga guru. You obviously had a little bit of a background there, so tell us.
Yeah, so I actually started out in college wanting to be a performer. And I was moving into comedic theater, and I got trained in a lot of classical comedy and loved being on stage. And when I was deciding to move into grad school and starting to audition, I just wasn't feeling the vibe of that form of performing. And so I moved a little bit more into the holistic realm, and that's where because of the fascination I had in all the comedic work that I had to learn, I was fascinated by the human body.
That makes so much sense now.
Yep.
See, I didn't know that part.
Yep.
I love it.
That I decided to move into the wellness realm. So people have started to coin me this year the fun coach. And way back when, back in college, Lucille Ball was and always is my idol. And she's always somebody that's always brought fun to the atmosphere. And really, that was something that motivated me. And when I didn't feel like I was having fun, I needed to reevaluate. And so in that moment, I wanted to pivot into wellness. And that's where I dove into massage and the human body. And then it was an easy transition into yoga because we can work on releasing the tension within our human body and then move and allow the muscles to find that balance with the yoga. And then I got fascinated with the internal, and that's where I dove into the health coaching. So I kind of added on one after the other and then created Tracy's Total Wellness from that.
So tell us a little bit though, so you jumped right in like most guests do. You must have been born a comedian then. So is that what it is? So did you perform in front of your parents? Were they encouraging? Did you always have the stage?
I did.
Okay, so I could have guessed it. As soon as you said you wanted to get into classic comedy, I'm like, that makes total sense. That's your energy.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. So you grew up, did you always want to be on stage? Or you thought you did, right? Because I think we all do at some stage in our lives.
Yeah, so I grew up, I'm from Binghamton, New York, little town in Binghamton, and actually grew up in Pennsylvania, and then we moved to New York. We were one of those border places, so my neighbors were in New York, I was in PA, then it was just fun living in two states. And I was constantly always being the entertainer, the performer. Generally, when I was younger, my family didn't want to take me to restaurants because I was quite the entertainer.
You were that person. I love it.
I was jumping around. I was doing everything. I used to with my sister. My mom hated it, but when we go shopping in the malls, we pretend to be the mannequins.
As you should. I got to say hi, shout out to my cousin Teresa just got on. Hi, Teresa.
Hi.
I hope are you with all the other cousins right now?
Oh, that's my mom's name. Hi, Teresa.
Yes. So I get the sense that you definitely were the center of attention. Are you an only child?
No, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
I'm the oldest of my parents, but I'm also the oldest of all of my grandparents. So I was the firstborn.
Oh, yeah. See, that's my oldest is the same way. She won't admit it. But we just would go in and stare at her. We'd like, okay, perform.
Yes.
And so we encouraged it. And then once once my middle daughter came, and we took any of the spotlight away from her, wow, that just brought the performer out more in my older daughter.
Yep, that's right. I love my sister. I like to say she's the yin to my yang.
I love it.
She is a little bit more quiet and reserved. I'm a little bit more out there, so she keeps me grounded. I keep her having fun.
See, that's good. I think you need that balance.
You do.
You have to have that balance. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the stress reset, because I know that's on everybody's mind, right? We're all stressed out. We're going a million miles a minute. Nobody seems to be able to really, truly disconnect from social media, from your phone, from your iPad, from your tablet. I don't care what it is. You still have it with you. Like, I love when I see pictures of people at the beach and all of them are still on their phones. It's not that I'm not guilty of it. I do the same thing. But I think we don't know how to get disconnect and how to really get that relief, which impacts our bodies, our health, our sleep, our productivity. So talk a little bit I want you to talk about yoga, massage, in whatever order that you want. And I want you to educate them, because I have never done yoga. I think we talked about this before. And I think there's an intimidation factor. I think if anybody's being honest out there who's never been to yoga, you're like, well, I can't even, okay, I'm going to talk about me. I can't even stretch. I don't even know if I can reach the button sometimes to push finish. So I don't know how to do it. And I think if I walk in there, you guys are all going to judge me. So talk about some of that, please.
I will. So I think it's really great that you said disconnect, where we want to try and disconnect from our devices. The thing is the disconnection from ourselves is what's causing all of the issues in our lives.
Agreed.
I like to call it the dis-ease. Whatever's going on in our lives is because we have become disassociated from our own bodies, from our own minds, from our soul. And when we become disassociated, we're not able to control what happens because we're disconnected.
Yes.
So ultimately, when we say we're going to disconnect from other things, it's so that we can reconnect with ourselves. And I found specific ways that have helped people the most efficiently and effectively. And the first way I always do is let's reconnect to our bodies, our vessel, and create a new relationship with our bodies and appreciate it. We disassociate from our bodies because we don't maybe like how we look, or there's some things going on inside of our health, or we're just afraid people are going to judge us. So instead, if we can step back and reassociate and connect to our bodies, then we're able to get back in the driver's seat. Once we can start to connect to our bodies as our vessel, then we can get a little bit more into the thoughts we think, the way we feel, and our soul, our purpose.
So if somebody's listening out there, how do we reconnect with our bodies? What are we missing on the body part? Because some people say, well, I can't exercise, or I don't like exercise. And is it all about the exercise? Isn't it a lot about breathing and movement? And hey, Nick and Maggie, isn't it? It's more than that. It's more than just killing yourself at, I don't want to name names, one of these places that throws tires at each other. It's more than that. So can you talk a little bit about the body and how you reconnect?
Yes, so hopefully people have heard the word mindfulness before. An amazing man called John Kabat-Zinn is bringing mindfulness into hospitals, which I think is phenomenal all over the country. Mindfulness is being present with doing what you're doing, and that's it. And so I get a lot of people that are go, 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 go people, and that's great. But the one thing they are missing is being mindful in the go, go, go. So I start right there. Be mindful of what you're doing when you're doing it. Whether it's brushing your teeth, just brush your teeth. Whether it's driving in the car, just drive the car. Whether it's hanging out with a friend, right? That would be a perfect time to disassociate from the device.
Agreed.
And connect. So there's a very easy step. And if we can create a mindset of mindfulness, it is easy for us to then make choices to allow us to have more mindfulness in our lives.
Because that's a choice, right? You have
Correct.
to really physically make the decision to be mindful. You were talking about the driving. There are many times when I drive and I get to where I'm at and I have no idea how I got there.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with the alcohol, so nobody give me a hard time about that. That's mornings before I start. But I think a lot of people have experienced that. Your mind is so often some other place that you're not mindful of where you're at or present. And I think people don't know how to get back to that. It sounds easy, but I think if you're trained in the completely opposite direction, and that's what we are, the minute a phone call comes in, you have to respond. A text message, an email, a messenger on Facebook. I mean, people can reach you in 500 different ways before they used to be able to reach you just by phone. So how do you do? What do you tell people? How do you go? All right, I need you to be present and mindful.
Great. So it's hard to start with the mind. That's why I said the first step is always with the body. And when I work through my stress reset system, we work first with the body. The first thing that I notice happens when people are stressed or disconnected, they're not breathing anymore. So they're not allowing that ebb and flow. If you look at a baby, they naturally breathe. Their belly goes out, their belly goes in. A lot of clients, when I start to work with them, their chest goes up, their chest goes down. They're breathing like this. So what's happening is the muscles of their neck are actually having to pull their ribs up so that they have enough room for their lungs to expand.
Wow.
Our diaphragm's down here, and it goes like this when we breathe in. That's why our belly has to go out. Our organs need somewhere to go. And then it relaxes back up when we exhale, belly goes in. So we've, number one, forgotten how to breathe. That is the easiest, quickest step, is to take a moment and pause and just see how you're breathing unattached to judgment. That's the biggest thing. We are judging ourselves. I'll see it even in the yoga studio, people are judging the way their posture looks. They're judging the way they're doing something that might be holistic or well for them. So we can just not judge the judgment, let it all go, realize we're all human beings, and we're, number one, made to breathe. When we stop breathing, it starves our body of oxygen.
So we don't breathe right. Is that what you're saying? Like
we've forgotten.
We forgot. So you're right. So I know what you're talking about. So if you breathe, if you take a deep breath and you're just letting it out, it's up and down here. Yeah. You're right. No, I feel like a lot of people, and people underestimate, they think, well, how could breathing possibly begin to help me?
Yeah, so I'll give them a really quick, I go very basic science with people because it's really confusing a lot of times. So the lower lobes of our lungs, we have 1, 2, 3 lobes of our lungs. The lower lobes of our lungs are where the relaxation receptors are in our lungs. What that means is they have to get initiated by breath to then send the message to our brain to relax. So that's where the receptor is. If we breathe in our chest, we never activate and initiate the lower lobes of our lungs, and our brain never gets the message. That's why people that are having a panic attack can never get down and get relaxed, because they're chest breathing. So I wanted to share people a little basic science, and that's why we need to learn how to belly breathe, so that that breath can initiate the relaxation response. So if you don't remember anything else from the call today, just focus on breathing. And the best way to do it is when you're in the simple parts of your day. Try not to do it when you're in the busy, active parts, but that's what I said before, mindfulness. Can you just try and breathe while you're brushing your teeth?
Right.
Some of the simplicities we have within our day, that's where we can work on it, so it creates that habit change, so that it is then habitual and we don't have to think about it when we're in a little bit more of the active parts of our day.
All right, so breathing is that's part of getting back associated with your body.
With your body, with the way our body needs to perform.
And then, so what's next after that? I want to get all of the things in, because we have a lot. You see and people over here already are lots of questions.
Yes.
But I think that people are truly desperate to know what to do. But, our society wants a quick answer to everything.
Yes.
They want a pill. Everybody wants to take a pill, and we all know that that's not going to happen. So what's the next step? What do you engage? What do they have to do, or who do they have to engage?
So first we're reconnecting to our body with our breath. So we're working on a little bit more of the internal rhythms of our body. Then we have to reconnect with our body as a vessel, as these physical tissue that we see here. So there's many different ways that you can do it. I like to say pleasurable movement is the way to do it. I used to teach yoga at a gym, and I would see people on the treadmill that looked like they were getting stabbed.
Right.
Okay, that's not
That's
to me.
how I'd feel if I was on a treadmill.
That's not
just
to
for
me
the record.
pleasurable movement. So what I like to tell people, the great thing nowadays, there are so many different options out there to move your body. Find the style of movement that your body enjoys as well as your personality.
I like that.
Yes, and so some of my clients going on walks, that is their way to pleasurably move, and they enjoy it. Some of my clients go to boot camp classes. Some of my clients come to my yoga class. I personally found my connection to yoga because it helped me to access pleasurable movement, and yoga has such a variety of ways to move your body, and it is such a big stickler on breath and body becoming a union.
Right.
That I really love it, and that's why I like to share the benefits of yoga, because you focus on the breath and the body in every different
And what does yoga mean?
Yoga means union.
Love that. I
you
did
didn't
not know. I
Yes.
didn't know until you told me.
And
I
so
think
it's
that's
a
awesome.
union with yourself, your body, your vessel, as well as union with everybody on the world, in the world and on
So
the
will you
planet.
talk a little bit about yoga, because we had the conversation before how yoga can be scary it's intimidating if you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
Your studio is very open to people coming in, no matter what level you're at. Nobody's going to judge you there. But I think that people get confused. Like, what's hot yoga? What's Bikram? What's the Manasa one you said
Vinyasa.
earlier? Oh yes. So listen, I can't say the words. But I think that one of the reasons I've stayed away, other than I haven't connected back with my body or my mind yet, you're going to be the person, though. I think Tracy's going to get me there. But people talk about hot yoga. So why would I go somewhere and sweat? Like, what is the thought process behind all of that?
Great. So I'll give you a basic. So asana, which is the postures in yoga, is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what yoga all of it in itself encompasses. But it is a great way, right? Because it helps you reassociate with your body. So it's always the first step. Pranayama, these are fancy words, if you want to hear them, is breath work. So if you hear asana or pranayama, that's what it means. Pranayama, breath, asana, posture. Usually in yoga, there's two different forms of movement. It's either you're in a stationary pose, you're breathing and holding the pose, or you're flowing from pose to pose. There's a lot of varieties of yoga that will use both of those styles, but it's an easy way. So if you see flow in a title, it probably means you're going to be moving and breathing. If it says other different forms, usually the description will tell you if you're going to be holding poses. When we are in that first part of yoga, we are building heat. We are building the heat in our bodies that warms our body up. It gets us to a natural elevated blood pressure, not too high, not too low, but it gets everything pumping and flowing. So a lot of people, they want to build more heat in that first part of class. Usually people start with a centering in yoga, so they set an intention. Then they start with the standing sequence, which is the heat building sequence of yoga. Some people want to go even extra, and they go into a hot room so that they're able to build a little bit more heat. The heat is the detoxifying phase, as well as the phase to get everything pumping and moving.
Oh my God, my
and the
liver
body
just
getting
jumped
soft.
when you said that. It's all right, babe.
Yeah.
By the way, hi, Juan. I'm Juan. That's what I'm supposed to say because he says Ted. I understand that, but what I'm worried about is I am afraid I'm going to get on the mat. I'm saying what none of you are brave enough to say, but since it's my show, I'm going to say it. I'm afraid I'm going to get on the mat and I'm not going to be able to get up off the mat. I am that much of a novice at it. So what does somebody do? Like, if they really want to come in, they're fascinated by it. Do you all take the time? Because it's what you're saying, I believe 100%. But then if I go there and I don't find the right connection, which is why you have to go to Tracy's studio, and we'll give all that contact information later. I want to know that when I walk in that somebody's going to make sure that I'm not the laughing stock of the yoga. My name's not on the board later.
Yes.
Watch out for Ted.
Yes. So the biggest thing I like to tell people before they go to a class is get there, if it's your first time, get there early and go up one-to-one and just tell the instructor, hey, I'm new to class. I just want to make sure that this is going to be okay for me. Is there anything I need to know? That's the biggest mistake I see most students make, is they just don't go up at the beginning of class and ask the instructor. Most yoga instructors, we want to hold a safe space for anybody that comes in.
Sure.
With everything I do, I want to hold that safe container. But if I don't know what's going on with you,
Right.
then I can't hold that safe container in the way that would best serve your well-being.
So there's some vulnerability. You have to be willing to share where you're at.
Yes.
So don't go in like the pro when you're not the pro. go in and have a discussion because they want, believe me, they're instructors. This is their life. They practice it, they live it, they breathe it, so to speak. And you want to be with somebody who wants you to be safe, and that's what
Yes.
Tracy's talking about. I want to talk a little bit about, I know we talked hot yoga, but I want to still spend time on sleep. Hey Colette. Hey Colette. Sleep and massage and the importance of that. So let's talk a little bit about, and I know hormones are in there too.
Oh, yeah.
But sleep is on everybody's mind.
Yes.
We were talking about insomnia earlier. A lot of people are sleep deprived. They don't get enough sleep. And can you talk a little bit about how we can impact that in a different way where you're not dependent on Ambien or something like that to be able to go to sleep at night and have a good night's sleep?
Yes, thank you. So I'll explain to you what I like to call a few of the major dis-eases that occur when you get stressed. So there are a few things that happen when we get stressed, and a lot of times if you can look back at what was the root cause of whatever's going on, stress is probably part of it.
You know it.
Stress occurs when our cortisol levels go up. That is our stress hormone. We get stressed, and it sometimes is good. That's where you've seen those stories of this woman lifting this car off of her
Right,
child.
right.
Okay. So when we get stressed, our cortisol levels rise. What happens then is our blood starts to pump, and it goes to the limbs of our body so that we can fight off a predator, run from something. It shuts the blood down from our digestive system. So that's why a lot of people have metabolism issues, or they might have some issues losing weight, is their body is having food just sit in their gut because they're stressed all the time, and the blood isn't coming in to allow the digestive system to work.
Right.
So there's number one. Blood pressure goes up, cortisol goes up, and the blood goes into our limbs, and it stops going into our digestive system. When cortisol stays too high, it generally knocks our other hormones off. So for women, that would be progesterone gets knocked off. For both women and men, generally our thyroid can get knocked off. If we have an issue with our thyroid, we will generally sometimes have issue with energy and sleep. The other thing that occurs, our inflammatory rate goes up, our inflammation goes up. Whatever your inflammation is, that could be arthritis, diabetes, high blood pressure, that could even be anger, frustration. And then our focus goes down. So we get angry, we get frustrated, we get annoyed. We generally then are not focused and we're not calm, and our immune system can't do its job. So our sleep is the time where our body is supposed to help repair everything that we've put it through the rest of the day. If we put it through, I think you mentioned the Titanic earlier, if we put it through like the Titanic going down every single day, eventually it's going to be like, I don't have the energy.
I got nothing left.
I got
right?
nothing left.
It's depleted.
It's depleted, and so our body can't go through the natural rhythms. Sleep is a rhythm. Metabolism is a rhythm. Pleasurable movement is a rhythm. Everything is a rhythm. And the more that we allow ourselves to choose to get stressed, we disassociate from our own rhythms. There's so many things that take us out of rhythm. And so stress is a big one. Also our circadian rhythm. That is, a lot of us now don't rise with the sun and fall asleep with the moon. And,
We don't.
And
No, I know we don't.
nobody.
I'm terrible
People
at it.
don't. And so we've lost a connection to Mother Nature that used to serve our own internal rhythm. So I tell people, if you can find some form of rhythm where you wake up at least the same time every day, then your body will get adapted to that rhythm, and it'll probably start to wind down a little bit more at night. And so the more you can connect to little tiny rhythms throughout the day, even those calming breaths, the more the body will be open to have a functional sleep rhythm.
John Wild, you're absolutely right. Hi, Joe. I don't breathe enough. As you, honest to God, I know that is the basics, but I know it's so important. It's kind of like the foundation,
Yes.
really. And so as I'm listening to you, I'm breathing shallowly. That's a word. I'm breathing because I'm not taking the full deep breath. But you know what you made me? You made me conscious of it. And so I think sometimes that's half the battle. I've been in a lot of groups before, and we've done guided imagery, and breathing is always sort of the way we start. And I've never been more relaxed or present when I'm breathing properly, I think.
Yes.
All right, so I know we're going to go just a teeny bit long, but I have to ask you about, we'll wrap it up in a minute. I have to ask you about massage.
Yeah.
So the reason most people go to massage and they look at it as that time where they can because you don't have your phone on during massage. That's one time when people. No, I've had people in another room. I can hear them talking on the phone. I don't know how you do that. As a masseuse, I'd be like, yeah, you got to stop. But I think massage people don't realize it's not just about the stress relief. There are things that actually happen to your body when you are being massaged, and the things that it gets out, and it helps detox people.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so our muscle fibers in our tissue, they generally like to run cohesively. What happens when we have different kinds of movement that we do all of the time, we get stressed, whatever we're doing, sedentary lifestyle causes this, they start to knot up. What happens then is they get starved of blood flow, and toxins will build up inside of our muscle tissue. So massage, what it does, if you're seeing all these, what it does is it tries to bring the cohesiveness back. When our muscles are cohesive, they are in a more ease state, so we can move our bodies with more ease. And then we feel better, right? Our vessel is in the alignment that it should be. So body work is really great because it helps us to, number one, be vulnerable enough to give somebody the opportunity to take care of us with their nurturing hands.
Yes.
And then helps us to reconnect with another person, and also gives us the opportunity to realign our fibers in our body so that we can pump out some of those toxins and find a little bit more ease within our muscular system.
And you can find, so my wife likes the one where she feels like somebody's beat the crap out of her for an hour. She says that's relief to her. It's deep tissue or deeper tissue. I want to be relaxed during mine, and it's not that they occasionally find a knot in my back, or that's where you're talking about where the stress is there, and it's all there, the blood flow stopped. But you don't have to go to the ones that beat the crap out of you. But you have to communicate. It's what Tracy was saying earlier, just like the yoga instructor. You have to go and tell them where you're at. You have to talk to them about where you're at, where your stress is, where your experience level is, because the communication is key when it comes to getting the benefit out of all of the things that Tracy's talking about. I like the massage, like I was telling you earlier. She's got essential oils on right now, something on, and it brought me right back to the Ritz-Carlton spa, and I was so relaxed immediately, because you remember the essential oils do a lot to your mind too, with your mind. We could do a whole show on that at some point. But engage it, embrace it. Don't just go into these things. Don't just go to yoga, or go to yoga and don't be afraid. And if you go to yoga, embrace what they're trying to teach you. The breathing's so important. Massage is so important. Remember, your stress, we're all stressed out. So don't think you're all by yourself. We're all stressed out in some way, shape, or form. It's how we deal with it and how we figure out how to overcome it, or at least how we figure out how to allow it into our lives in a way that's still productive and you're not disassociated, as you said, with the rest of the world because you're so stressed out. I'm going to take one question from Tony, and then we're going to wrap it up. How often should we get a massage? And of course, she said, I'd love one every day. Me too.
Yeah, everybody,
every
I think.
day.
So what I would say, just like I had mentioned before with the yoga, go in before the massage, talk to the therapist, and they'll be able, once they feel the body and see what's going on, give you the best plan for what will serve your body. So I usually tell people, be open with these practitioners. People that are in the wellness field like me, we are just here to hold a safe space. It is really important. And so knowing that and making sure, hey, if you're getting a bad vibe from anyone, it's your body saying, not good fit for me.
Correct.
Go somewhere else. Find somebody that gives you a good vibe. I constantly, before I work on somebody, I make sure that they're telling me everything, they feel safe. And then I'll let them know, hey, you're having a few different issues right now. I would recommend you come in every week. We'll get this worked out maybe 2 or 3 times. I usually tell people once a month is really great, or every other month, just like you get your oil changed every 3,000 miles. It's good to get.
Just like you get your oil.
Yeah, it's just get all those fibers back in alignment every so many miles of your life.
I love it. All right, so we're going to share all of Tracy's contact information after the show. She's going to post. She'll put her website on, how you can reach her. This was awesome, by
Oh,
the way.
thank you.
I'm still relaxed from the essential oils. All right, any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share with them before we head out?
So I would want to mention everything that I've been talking about with this reconnection, reassociation. The other thing that I would love to mention is I like to work with people where I'm holding that safe space, but I also love to bring groups of people together, and that it's important that we are remembering to breathe. We are remembering to reassociate with bodies, but we're also remembering to spend time with people that we feel good around. I like to call it community medicine. It is the best thing for our health and our happiness to spend time with like-minded people. It releases endorphins and it takes away stress. So if there's one thing you take away from this, if you're around like-minded people, you're probably going to breathe better, you're going to make better choices, and you'll get into that route of a little bit more health and happiness in your life. And as I always say, my favorite quote was from the amazing Judy Garland, who is a performer. I love performers. Is always be the first-rate version of yourself instead of the second-rate version of somebody else.
I love it. I bet you like that show, which I love too. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yes!
I thought of you immediately.
I knew
when
it
you
was
said
going to win
that.
awards
Oh my
the
God,
second it
deserves
came on.
Joanna Hirsch, she's going to post that, but it's out in the Dr. Phillips area
Yes.
near Conroy Windermere Road, kind of at the intersection, but she'll post all of that. You've been a joy. That was
Oh,
good.
thank
I feel
you
good.
so much.
I'm kind of motivated. I'm very cognizant right now of my breathing, which is really bad, by the way. I'm not doing it right. So if I'm not doing it right, you're probably not either. So let's try to figure out how to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we love you guys. We'll be back later on today and definitely the rest of the week.